Hello, my friends. Welcome. My name is Joe. This is the Joe Martino Show. And today I want to talk to you about something that we all feel, but we rarely stop to talk about. Have you ever caught yourself saying, where did the time go? Maybe it was after a kid's birthday or when the new year rolled around and you wondered, how did 12 months go that fast? Or maybe it was at the end of school and here comes summer again and you're going to blink and summer's over. Time doesn't just feel fast, it is fast. And while we can't slow down time, we can slow down how we experience life. In this episode, I want to offer you 3 simple but powerful ways that you can press pause and truly savor the moments that make life meaningful. Let's kick it off. This is the Joe Martino Show.
You're listening to the Joe Martino Show, a podcast dealing with all things emotional, relational, and human nature. Joe is a licensed counselor in the state of Michigan, specializing in relationship therapy. He is also the author of the book, The Emotionally Secure Couple. All advice offered in this episode is offered for entertainment and educational purposes only. Enjoy the show.
But before we do that, I do want to talk to you about some really exciting things going on in my life and in the life of our business. We are working on multiple books right now. My wife and my daughter are the we. We have gotten an outline and a lot of the meta work that goes into writing a book. Who's this book for? What's the outline look like? What do the chapters look like? We've gotten a lot of that, I wouldn't say done, but we have made really good progress on that for the book, Raising the Emotionally Secure Child. If you've read my first book, The Emotionally Secure Couple, you know that the book talks about emotional security in couples. This book is going to talk about the role that emotional security plays in our children. How does that look as we raise our children? How does that look as we engage our children? What does it look like to raise emotionally secure children? So that's one thing going on. Another thing going on is I am working on my book, Hiding Behind God. For those of you who are interested in those things, this book deals with the idea that there are times we use the idea of God to hide from the pain that is in this world, and we kind of spiritualize it. We use lingo, we use different organizations, we use different programs, and we kind of talk about that. We talk about the problems with it. We also talk about, what does that look like? Then how do we fix it? How do we move forward? And listen, if you've been in the church for a while, you know there's a thing called deconstruction. I'm not about that. I'm not interested in it. I'm not interested in blowing up anybody's faith. But I am interested in asking some difficult and hard questions and hopefully starting some conversations that are necessary. And so that is the other book that I'm working on. There is a catch to this. I've actually written the book about 5 times. I'm on the 11th or 12th edit before I even take it to a potential publisher or agent. And it was suggested to me that I write it more lyrically rather than traditional essay style. So I've been working on that. I even did an A/B study. I sent it out to about 25, 26 friends. It was like, hey, which one do you like better? And I'll be honest with you, I was hoping that they were going to come back with the one that I like the most, which is the essay style. That's the way that I write. It's the way that the Emotionally Secure Couple is written. They did not. They came back mostly with this lyrical option. And so that is going to be the way the book is written. I am 4 chapters into that rewrite, which is a bit of work. It's fun, but it's very difficult. I'm actually dreaming in it. So that's that book. No idea on that target line, but we are working on that. Now, if you're like me, you wonder, what does that mean? And, that's a good question. It's a basic paragraph. So I take a basic normal paragraph that I've already written. I've tried to squeeze it down, try to compress it. And this helps me realize that I have not compressed it. And so we take a regular sentence and we turn it into something like this. And this is right out of the current edition of the book. It's the introduction called The Ache and the Hiding. Rick sat on my couch. Snot chased tears down his face. His muscles flexed involuntarily as he sobbed. The tattoos on his arms seemed to dance, caught in the storm of his pain. He squeezed his hands reflexively, eyes darting nervously around the room. I just yearn, he managed before breaking again. Silence hung heavy, broken only by deep breaths and his desperate effort to hold it together. I feel like I'm not where I'm supposed to be, like I don't belong here. Maybe I never have. Church doesn't help. It's too political, too shady. I'm cursed with insider knowledge. I hate for things to be right, but so much of what we do now feels like building little kingdoms. Rick had come to see me because something good, something he and his wife had tried, had gone terribly wrong. Their marriage was shaky. He grew up in a hyper-conservative church. At 15, his best friend died in a car accident. The youth pastor told him his friend was likely in hell and that God had spared Rick so he could chase God with all his heart. Rick assumed I would judge him. He assumed I wouldn't understand. Rick was exactly who this book is for. I know Rick's story because I've lived versions of it in therapy rooms, in classrooms, in churches, and in my own life. I've heard the laments. I thought church would feel like family. It didn't. I asked questions and they shut me out. I thought I belonged until I couldn't perform anymore. I sat with Heather. She escaped with an abusive aunt, only to find more abuse in a church that promised family. They told her she was too broken for ministry. She thought she found sisters. She found a corporation. Now she considers herself a functioning atheist. This book is for Rick. It's for Heather. It's for anyone who's been burned by people who claim to represent God. It's for those who wonder why church looks more like a concert than a community. For those who are afraid to ask honest questions. It's for pastors hanging on by a thread. It's for those who've whispered, "What's the point?" and secretly wondered if hiding is safer than hoping. We are called to great things. We are also called to great struggle. No wonder we misstep. No wonder we hide. Behind theology, behind systems, even behind good intentions. I am writing this for us, for those stuck between brokenness and calling, for those who see wolves among the sheep and sheep hurting each other. I am writing this because I've spent years in church leadership and clinical counseling. I've seen the patterns. I've watched the noble intentions become traps. I've seen how programs hurt and how spiritual language gets weaponized to avoid hard conversations. And I'm writing this because hiding, especially hiding behind God, cost us more than we realize. This book is divided into 3 parts. Part 1, how and why we hide behind God. Part 2, the consequences of hiding. Part 3, how can we stop hiding and move toward healing? I won't lie to you. I'm terrified to publish this. I know people will get angry. Some already have. But silence costs more than offense. If you're reading this, I believe you were meant to, because this conversation isn't optional. The church needs to talk about this. For Rick, for Heather, for you, for me. So we can stop building little kingdoms and start becoming family again. We must live faithfully in the space between not home yet and the kingdom coming. That is an excerpt from the book, The Hiding Behind God. What happens when we use God in ways he never told us to? That is just the introduction. There is 22 chapters. It's a big book. I'm trying to cut that down. But the 22 chapters will stay. The number of words will be cut down. That's one of the reasons I went with that style. Not typically a style I write. I've dabbled in it before. But hopefully this will find a place that readers are interested in reading. And I'll be honest with you, I'm trying to find the space in each chapter where when you get to the end of the chapter, you're either so rattled, one of your paradigms has become so rattled that you have to put the book down so you can walk away and think about it for a few minutes, or you're like, man, I can get one more chapter in, one more chapter. And so we'll see how that goes. I have no idea when that's coming out, but if you want to know, your best bet is to go to joemartino.com and you will find 2 places that you can sign up for my writings there. One is called Emotionally Inclined, and that deals exclusively with all the things that make us human. That deals exclusively with all of our emotions and the way that we handle life. You can also sign up for Does God Care About Our Theology, which I believe will be the title for the sequel to Hiding Behind God. And that deals with all things church, God, and religion. I know not everybody's interested in that, so that's why we have 2 different options there. Once again, go to joemartino.com and you can find that information there. All right, let's talk a little bit about why we're here today, though. I want to talk about slowing down, and I think there's a lot of reasons for this. When my girls hit middle school, for some reason it was then that it hit me how fast summers go. And as you age, of course, time just goes faster. We all know that. We all know that the older we get, the faster time goes, the faster time feels to go. And there's some scientific reasons for that. One of the things that they talk about is, as you're younger, there's less options. And so life doesn't quite do that. But there's more mundane and all of these reasons. Charles Duhigg has done some good work on that. And I've been thinking as we've been moving into this season of summer, one of my daughters is graduating this coming Saturday. When this episode drops, it'll be this coming Saturday. Another one of my daughters is finishing her sophomore year of college. Another is finishing her freshman year. And my son is finishing his 6th grade year. And I remember when my oldest was in 6th grade. There's a picture that I have of the 3 girls. It reminds me of my own time in 6th grade. It was not a good time. It was a very painful time. It was not a time that I appreciated. I went to a new school and they did not like me. And probably for some good reasons. I was an awkward, weird kid trying to fit in and not doing a very good job. And there's a lot of pain there. And so I remember my daughters, and then, there was some pain for my kids. There's always is. And that, man, time goes so fast. And then this year, I have a future son-in-law, and he graduated last week. And I was thinking about his parents. He graduated. They watched him walk across the stage one day, and 2 days later, they drove him over here to Michigan for him to live over here. And then they moved him over here, and he's going to live over here. They're going to live here this summer. He's going to live here in an apartment in downtown this summer. And then this fall, they're going to get married. The guy officiating the wedding is a pretty swell guy, by the way. And then they're going to move into that apartment, and she's not going to stay at my house anymore. And it all went so fast. And so we've done a lot of things as a couple, as a family, to intentionally slow down and chase life. And I want to share some of those with you. One of those is I plan. So I said 3. You're probably going to get a few extra. We're going to give you some 3 intentional ones. But one of those is we plan. Like, we get together, Eric and I get together at the end of the year, and we plan the next year. Now, you can't do that because the end of the year is already here. But if you haven't done that, you can definitely plan your summer. And listen, sometimes when I do this or have conversations with people about this, they're like, well, we have to spend money. The truth is, you don't have to spend much money. You can plan going to parks. You can take them to parks. My wife and I, we drove through a park by our house the other day. If you live here in the area, Fallsburg Park is gorgeous. It has a nice playground. It's got the river you can go down and play in. It's got picnic tables. You can have a really good day there with your kids. If you don't have money, and I get it, inflation is up. Spending is hard right now, right? If you have little kids or any kids, $10 and go to Sam's, go to Goodwill, or go to a thrift shop and go thrifting. It's trendy today to go thrifting. Kids love it. Do that. See how that works for you. In the end, it really doesn't matter what you do. If you plan it ahead of time, your kids will be excited. Your kids want to spend time with you. And I'm telling you, as they get older, those will be the memories that you hold on to. Those will be the memories that you gravitate towards. I love pictures. I know people are like, oh my goodness, we have phones all the time. And when people are out there, they don't ever do anything but look through phones. You know what? Why don't you mind your own business? It costs you nothing to mind your own business, because here's the thing. I don't regret taking any of the pictures that I've taken of my kids with my phone. In fact, I like it so much, I put them into Instagram, which I have locked down private. I do have a public one. If you want that, it is Instagram. I am Joe Martino, but I also have a private one, which is just for me and my kids. And then I put them into photo books, and I get those photo books shipped to me. And there are times I'll sit and I will spend, I'll never use the word waste for this activity. I will spend an hour just flipping through books and looking at pictures. I still have pictures on my phone from when my kids were little, from trips that we took. You cannot waste your time spending it with your kids. You can't, with those you love. That is not a waste. That is time well spent. And so one of the ways that you can make the most of this summer, one of the ways that you can help time slow down, is you can reach out and have a plan. And if you don't have a plan, like, go on to Google and Google things I can do around where you live. It will definitely take some planning though. So you need to plan things. That's one of the ways that we do things. And it doesn't have to be crazy ideas. Literally, go to the park. We have a splash pad in our town. Like, there are things that you can do. And if you don't have those things, you can Google it. You can make plans. Talk to other people. Find out what they do. Here's something you can do. You can create intentional pauses in your day and in your week. When was the last time you just sat down and did nothing? Like, literally nothing for 5 minutes. Just sat there and listened to the area. I was reading in a book where it talks about, in Japan, they actually have a word for this, and it's called bathing in nature. Just finding time in nature to sit out and do nothing, or do it in your living room, do it in your chair, in your couch. And look, we don't want to be too legalistic about this. Maybe you brew yourself a nice cup of coffee and you just sit there. Because here's the thing, intentional pauses, even tiny ones, they slow the pace of your mind. And if you do this for yourself, here's what happens. It becomes simple, it's grounding, and it's effective. And then you can extrapolate that out one more step. You could do it with your kids. You could do it with your children, and then you could just be present with them. And if you want to take pictures, take pictures. If you don't want to take pictures, don't take pictures, but don't scroll your phone. Stay off Facebook, stay off Snapchat, stay off Instagram, all that stuff, and just be there for a few moments to enjoy. Just sit there for a few moments and enjoy. It's an amazing opportunity. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create intentional pauses in our day. That's after we make real plans. We're going to do that for ourselves, and then we're going to do it with our kids. The second thing we're going to do is we're going to practice single tasking. Now listen, I know we live in a society that glorifies multitasking. But when we do everything at once, we experience nothing deeply. All right, so next time you're walking, just walk. Like, don't even take headphones. Just leave them off. It's an amazing experience. Not all the time. Like, I get it. I like music. I like to walk to music. I like to listen to books. I like to listen to audio books. Hopefully you like to listen to podcasts, right? Like, don't stop listening to this. But just try it. When you're having coffee, just taste the coffee. Just sit there and feel the warmth. There's a thing that we used to do in therapy where we would give someone an object and we would ask them to come up with as many things about that object as they could. It didn't matter how many things they came up with. We almost always say to them, can you come up with 3 more? Because what that's doing is it's bringing them back to this one situation. It's bringing them back to this one place. And you can do that with your kids at the dinner table. You can do that with your family over a bowl of ice cream. You can do that with your family in a lot of ways. In fact, one of the things that I love about our family is we have routines that are season specific. In the summer, we throw caution to the wind and go to the ice cream shop quite often. And it is a family routine. It is fun, it is enjoyable, it is invigorating, and it is a time where we hang out with each other. It's awesome. You can do something like that as a single task. Okay, number 3, and this is one of my favorites. Make time for reflection. And here's the thing about this that makes this awesome. Life is fast. In fact, it's so fast sometimes that it's a blur. But take 10 minutes a week, maybe on Sunday, to reflect. What was good about the last week? What are you looking forward to in the week coming up? What did you notice more about the last week? What are you hoping to focus on in the coming week? Journal it. If you really want to get down with it, try to do it like maybe 2 or 3 nights a week. I'd love for you to do it every night of the week, but 2 or 3 nights of the week is probably more than you journaled last week. Take some time for quiet reflection. Sometimes I'll write down 3 things that I'm thankful for. Sometimes I'll write down things that I'm looking forward to. Sometimes I'll write down all the things that are hard and what I'm doing to work through them. But it's just a moment for me to stop and reflect. Reflect about your family. What went well? What didn't go well? Reflect about your parenting. What did you enjoy? What didn't you enjoy? Reflect about your partner. How did that go? Take time to reflect. You're actually wiring your brain when you do that to be more present when you're in the moment. And it's very helpful. And then if you journal it, for instance, I have a journal that now goes back 5 years. I can go back and read things on any day, and it's wonderful. I don't journal every day. I try to get in 100 journal entries a year, which is roughly 2 a week. I take a few weeks off for vacation. Sometimes I get more, sometimes I get less. But I can go back and I can read about things in 2023 that I've forgotten. And the journal that I have allows me to take pictures. I am a big fan of capturing things with pictures. My mom died 22 years ago, almost 23 years ago. The only thing I have is pictures. And I don't want to rob my children of that. At the end of the day, slowing down isn't about stopping life. A lot of times that's what we try to do. We try to stop life. That isn't what works. We want to live it out fully. We don't want to let it slip through our fingers while we rush from one task to the next. And I know that there are some days we're just really busy and we have to do that. But can we please, for the love of everything that is holy, stop glorifying busy? I actually twitch when I say it now. When people are like, hey, how are you? I'm like, oh yeah, I almost said busy. I hate that. I don't want to glorify being busy. I do want to be about doing meaningful things. And one of the things that I can do that is meaningful is I can work at slowing down time so that I can spend it with those I love. Try these steps this week. See what shifts for you. See what opens up when you give yourself permission to move more slowly. Hey, listen, if this episode resonated with you, will you share it with a friend? And as always, slow down, stay curious, and be kind to yourself. Until next time, take care.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed today's show, please share with a friend. And hey, give us that rating in your podcast store. Until next time, change possible.